Alright, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to how basically an audio mixer works. So this will go along with the studio audio training notes. During this session we're going to learn some simple techniques and vocabulary relating to studio microphone use and then using a basic mixer like the one you see in front of you. So first of all, in a studio setting, a microphone provides a certain microphone that provides the best sound for your talent is called a lav mic, L-A-V as in Victor, and a lav mic is this right here. Now the lav mic, it's important to know, first of all, it's very sensitive. This particular one is runs about close to $200, and it's got a very strong pickup. It's a very nice microphone, very professional. This one happens to be made by Sony, and on the other end there is a what's called a barrel plug. Looks like this. Inside of that barrel plug we have a, I'll unscrew this to show you, we have a battery. It's just a AA battery. It's really important that if you're going to leave it laying around for a while, like after your studio session, that you remove that battery. So there is our lav microphone. Now in order to make some connections, I'm sorry, before we go there, it's important to talk about proper use. So take a look at your notes here, and this photo here shows proper use, or proper placement I should say, of the lav mic on a button-down shirt, this one on a t-shirt, so pretty good illustration there. Now let's talk about different types of plugs. So we'll just go down the list here. The first type of plug is the smaller of the two. You see I have the two different sizes right here. This one is obviously larger on the left. This one here is the smaller of the two. It's called a 3.5 millimeter plug, also known as a 1/8 inch plug. So an 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter. And then we have a 1/4 inch plug. That's the larger of the two. And a 1/4 inch plug is used in connectors like that. So typically a headset or a headphone would be a 1/8 inch plug, just like the one that goes into your cell phone. So very common is that smaller one. The one that's not so common in consumer brand stuff would be the XLR connectors. I'm going to show the XLR connector. This is a male XLR connector, and I remember XLR, 3 pins. Okay, typically used for microphone connections. And of course there is a female version which normally goes into the microphone itself, the bottom of a microphone. That's the female end, but in this case, on this particular audio board, as in most of them, that is what you put in the main output, which we'll get to in a second, talking about what main output is. Alright, so there's page one. Those are our connectors. We're going to go through these different images now, and you see I've got basically a picture of this audio board, and I'm going to take you through 1 through 7 here, and we can identify and talk about each one. So the first one we're looking at is number 1 is the XLR input, which I actually kind of cheated and already told you about, so that's already done, number 1. Number 2 is the gain knob, and I'm going to zoom in here to the gain knob. What the gain knob does for us is controls what we call the intensity or the sensitivity of the microphone. So the intensity or sensitivity. So if you have this all the way down, this gain knob, your microphone isn't very sensitive. The higher or the more to the right you turn that gain knob, the more sensitive the microphone pickup's going to be. So if you have somebody with a much softer voice, not very powerful, you want to turn this up a little more. If they have a more powerful, assertive voice, then you turn this down. So that's the basics of the gain knob. Number 3 are these two knobs right here in blue, and that's the EQ, which stands for equalizer. So you have EQ, that's what you're looking for. The high frequency are the higher tones, so that higher pitched tone. If we want more higher pitched tone in our input here, then we'd turn that to the right. If we want less, we would turn it to the right. Now, I typically, by the way, start with everything straight up at 12 o'clock, we call it, and then adjust from there. The low tone is for controlling the amount of bass that is heard in a channel. So if I want more bass, I turn it to the right. If I want less bass, I turn it to the left. And again, you always want to start with these straight up and down, 12 o'clock. All right, now to number 4, which if I pan down here, we'll get a better view of it. This is known as the slider. And the slider controls the volume or the loudness of the channel. So again, slider controls the volume or the loudness of the channel. If I have this all the way down, then nothing will come out of this channel. If I bring it up, of course, that increases the volume or how loud it is. So loudness and gain are often confused. Just think of gain as how intense the mic is, how sensitive the pickup is, and the slider is how loud that channel is. And that's important because let's say we had a band going on and we had different instruments or vocalists. You'd want different levels or loudness for each instrument. So we'll go ahead and put those all down, and we will continue with number 5. All right, number 5 is called the mute button, and you can see the mute button right here. Typically, this is where it is on each mixer. If I have that pressed down, that will mute that particular channel from sending it to the main mix, so we won't hear anything on this channel, regardless of if this slider is up. If we unmute it, bring that up, then we can hear whatever is in this channel out of the main mix, unless, of course, this slider's down all the way. All right, so there is the mute button. Number 6, we're going to go ahead and pan over here. I'm going to show you the main mix. Now the main mix is, in this case, and they're different colors on different sliders, or excuse me, on different mixers, they're red. So those sliders, when they are up in that position, whatever is being fed to that main mix, of course, the mute has to be off, and then of course these have to be up individually. That will send it to the main mix. And of course, if say channel 2 is down, nothing from that channel will go into the main mix. So the main mix, if the sliders are down, no audio can be heard out into our broadcast. Okay. Item number 6 is, I'm sorry, that was number 6. Number 7. Number 7, we're going to talk about the VU meters. That's what those are, the VU meters, and that's this over here. Now, I don't have anything coming out just yet. Let me see if I can get a microphone connected here, and we will see what we can do with that. And it doesn't appear that I have anything coming through here. Let's unmute this. Check, 1, 2. All right, well, we don't have anything coming through just this second, but if it was coming through, these would bounce up like this. So these green LEDs would be bouncing, and we want it to top out at 0. Okay, if you look closely here, this says 0. It also says norm for normal. So we want our mix to be topping out at 0. So we should have any channel in our mix topping out or bouncing at 0 or the top of the green lights. Okay. A lot of microphones, as we said, use the batteries. We already touched on that a little bit in the lav mics. That actually might be what's wrong with our mix right now, why I can't hear anything out of our lav mics. These batteries may be dead already. But again, you want to remove those batteries out of this barrel after every session. And it's really just a matter of gently taking it out like that. And that's probably exactly what's going on there. So I just heard a little feed like that, so a little noise as we took that out. So that is the basics of a microphone, or excuse me, a audio mixer. There's one point that I want to leave you with, and that is that each one of these individual channels, it doesn't matter how big your board is or your mixer is, as long as you learn one channel, all the other channels are exactly alike. They're just duplicates of each other. So the mute button, the gain up here, the slider, of course, the input, and the equalizer up here is all the same thing. So again, it doesn't matter if we have 35 inputs or we have just a handful like we do in this board.